Alright, hello? Am I live? Well, let me check my freaking VOD here for a bit. Okay, I think I'm live. So anyway, hey guys, welcome to my Blender live stream. I know I didn't put you guys in the waiting screen right now, but that's because I wanna start this right away. Anyway, I don't really think you guys need to wait for me when it comes to these sorts of live streams where it's just me animating a guy using grease pencil. But anyway, we're gonna be starting our stream today without any proper preparation here, because we're gonna be animating this guy walking using grease pencil. Now, I've already did a little bit of some predetermined animation with this guy in terms of his 3D model. But what I want to finish today is his walking animation using grease pencil. So we're gonna be doing a lot of a little bit of tracing here of his movements from here all the way up to I guess here. I know there's still another few bits of animation stuff left here. But yeah, we're gonna be trying to finish this little bit of a steady walking animation of this guy, as well as maybe coloring the rest of this guy, because the grease pencil right now isn't really that colored. So we're gonna do some coloring as well if there's enough time. But I think we're just gonna be doing the frames for this project before we do anything too radical like coloring. Anyway, if you guys are wondering what's the context of the scene, we are basically just animating this guy about to do a chair shot on this other wrestler here, which I will soon make the frames of. I forgot to also make some frames for these two characters' poses right now. But yeah, we're also gonna make some drawings of these guys as well. I think I'm gonna do it offline instead. And also, if you guys are here from my last Blender live stream, you would have known that I was also working on a specific scene. I think I've already animated here. Yeah, here, this one. And I already finished it. As you can see, I mean, it's not like really the same resolution here, but I think it's 640 was the resolution. Yeah, I've already finished animating this scene as well. And I've already rendered it. Oh frick, god dang it. Why does it keep on? There we go. So yeah, I've also animated the scene as well. Don't mind the chair there, that's for the other animation I'm working on right now. It's already fully colored. All the scenes here is colored. And yeah, we already finished this scene, so now we are moving on to this guy going for a slight brisk walk towards the wrestler here, wherein he is about to do a chair shot to this guy. But then there's gonna be a twist, because of course this is winding up to some epic climax, right? But if he's gonna be taking this long in a wrestling match, you know that there's gonna be enough time for this wrestler to react. So now, but before we go for the surprise twist, where this guy punches this guy's nutsacks while he is open for a punch, we're just gonna be animating this guy walking slowly to this person And then in another future scene, we'll probably animate this guy sort of winding up for a chair shot, because as of now, he's only walking, but he isn't like putting the chair over his shoulders and preparing for that said chair shot. So that's gonna be another scene in of itself. Anyway, there's already like enough stuff going on here. Like this guy struggling to get up, and this referee just sort of shocked what's gonna happen next. By the way, did I mention this is a no disqualification match, meaning that anything goes, including using chairs and stuff. So, although I think this chair is gonna be the only thing that's really gonna make this scene stand out as a non-disqualification match, because I don't have any future scenes regarding any chairs, ladders, or tables. If you guys are are big fans of wrestling, you would have known that if you want something that's, if you want a good no disqualification match, you should really include some tables and some ladders. But I guess this is gonna be the only thing that's gonna make this stand out as a no DQ match. Is this chair. But anyway, I don't wanna make this animation as more complicated than it is right now, because it's already been almost a year long endeavor for me, so might as well try to finish things off by just making things as quickly as possible and moving on to more future projects that I have in the works. It's something to animate that Metroid animation I promised you guys, which I haven't been doing for quite a while because I've been focused on this grease pencil animation for so long now. I'll do that after the stream, but for now, let's do some much needed grease pencil animation. Anyway, I'm titling this stream talking about, did I title this again? I titled this GBA Games that I forgot this title. Talking about GBA Games while I animate, because I've been playing a lot more GBA games this month. I don't know why, but I guess I never told you guys, but for the past I would say like 10 years, I've been using like an emulator to, oh my god, what's wrong with my mouse right now? I've been using like an emulator to play all these old GBA games, because ever since I've discovered this emulator, I've been playing because like my first GBA game I've ever played was Pokemon Emerald for the Game Boy Advance, because it was I think it was around like 2014. I started playing some GBA games, and the first one I played was Pokemon Emerald, because I think I've seen like the Game Grumps play it once, and I was like, yo, this looks like a fun game. I want to play Pokemon Emerald as well, or like Pokemon in general, because I guess it's also my first Pokemon game. So I looked up online how to get this game running on my old Android phone, because I didn't have like I didn't know that you can like run, like emulators also exist in things like your PC. And plus, like with your phone, it's good to play games with it, because you always have it in your pocket, right? And right then with your computer, you're just not you're not like using it all the time. So I got this. I found this old. Oh my god, what's wrong with my freaking mouse? I swear to god, my left click. The left click of my mouse is broken for some reason. I need to replace this at some point. But yeah, maybe I just need to blow on it. It's getting a little bit dusty here, so I guess that's the reason why it's not working as well. So 1 or 2. Alright, let me just quickly make a frame here. Where maybe the 51st mark would be. Alright. So yeah, anyway, I was talking about freaking the emulator, right? My first emulator I've ever used was this one that you can find in the Play Store right now called My Boy. Specifically My Boy Free, because I think the full version wasn't free up until I've actually checked it out just recently and noticed that the full version was already technically free to play in the Play Store without any more incentive for me to fork up some money. Which, by the way, the only difference between the free version and the paid version of, or I guess the full version now of My Boy, is that this now, like, you now have like multiple save slots to use, as well as there's no ads, which is great for me. I don't know why My Boy is suddenly a free thing to use right now. Considering that I don't know, like, how do they make money now? I guess the reason why it's free right now is because I think Nintendo must have cracked down on their little shenanigans and didn't want them to earn money from it, so I guess they're not earning money from it anymore. I'm not sure. I don't know what's the news behind My Boy, but yeah, but yeah, my first emulator that I've ever used was My Boy, and it was a really good emulator, I must say, for running Pokemon. Although I guess the main gripe I have with My Boy is that it doesn't really support the link cable functionality of old Pokemon games, and I think it's only through like a different emulator that I forgot to name off that I was able to finally play Pokemon Emerald with my little bro. We started doing battles together on top of the Pokemon Center. We didn't really do that much trading. I think for trading, I just found like a zip file that I found a zip file that stored that had like this sort of mod included with Pokemon, wherein for those Pokemon that were to be leveled up through trading, it would change parameters in a way that if you want these said Pokemon to evolve, you just need to level it up to a certain level, or have them like hold an item while you level it up. Although I think I did it for Pokemon Black, not Pokemon Emerald. I'm not sure, but yeah, that's how I freaking played Pokemon for the longest time, was through these emulators. I also played freaking I think I played Fire Red also back in the day, but I was more invested in the Emerald version because of how I guess this like much. I guess I was just more invested in the aesthetic of Pokemon Emerald compared to Pokemon Fire Red. But yeah, my first ever GBA game I've ever played was freaking Pokemon Emerald. And for the longest time, I just thought of this said emulator to be just a Pokemon a Pokemon like a way for me to just play a bunch of Pokemon games. Never realizing that the GBA in the GBA emulator meant that it is meant for all types of freaking GBA games that you can find on the internet. Granted, I might as well what's it called? Give you guys a little bit of the elephant in the room. I know that freaking emulation is illegal, but at this point in time, I don't really have the means to play these sorts of games, especially the more obscure GBA games right now that I've been playing, like Harvest Moon, Friends of Mineral Town. I don't see people selling that in the the Nintendo Switch Online. And even if they are, I don't think there's like any way for me to play these games considering the region that I'm staying at right now. And I also don't have that much money to fork to Nintendo. So the only means for me to play these old games is just to, you know, it's just to like play them using my phone, which I still been doing up to this day, playing games on my phone. I once tried to play a bunch of games on my PC using this emulator for the GameCube called Dolphin Emulator, because I wanted to play Fire Emblem Path of Radiance for the GameCube, because I was so into the Fire Emblem community back then that I played both Fire Emblem for the GBA and Fire Emblem Awakening back to back. So I thought, yo, I want to play Path of Radiance because people say that one has the best story to it. So I played it on my freaking PC for a bit. Not realizing that I think I've burnt myself out when it comes to the Fire Emblem franchise. I think for these types of games wherein there's like a set game loop that you always expect to have for these types of games, like Fire Emblem, wherein granted for most of these games it's all just like tactical RPG stuff. I don't think you should be playing these sorts of games back to back. Like if you played both Awakening and Fates all at once, it is bound that you'll probably not like Echoes just for the sake of the fact that you're basically just still playing the same game all the time. So there has to be a little bit of a time for you to rest on a franchise before you get back into it again. Same can be said for when I was playing Donkey Kong for the Donkey Kong Country trilogy for the GBA, which I know are just downgraded versions, quote-unquote downgraded versions of the SNES version of the Donkey Kong Country trilogy. But I gotta say though, they included a lot of stuff that are not included in the SNES version, like in DKC Free, they included like a whole new world that wasn't available in the original SNES version, which I find pretty cool. Although I must say though, most of the games for this this said world was like, I think, filled with water levels, I think. But hey, it's a pretty good addition to the original Donkey Kong Country trilogy. But anyway, speaking of getting burnt out by games, I remembered playing DKC 1 and 2 back to back when I first heard of it being a thing to play in your emulator. not realizing that that by playing these games back to back, I've sort of spoiled myself in enjoying myself in regards to Donkey Kong Country Free. Because people lauded the third game in the trilogy as the worst one, considering that it's the one where Baby Kong was introduced, or Kiddy Kong. I mean, Kiddy Kong was introduced. So when I played DKC Free for the first time, I was like, God damn it, this sucks. This game sucks. And the reason why I think the game sucks was because it felt like I was playing the same game. But I just recently replayed it again, and this time I actually completed the game from start to finish. I collected all the banana birds. I finished the Lost World of that game, and I gotta say though that after replaying it again, I might consider DKC Free to be a better Donkey Kong Country game than the original Donkey Kong Country game. Not sure not sure if that's a hot take, but I actually do believe that this that DKC let me just quickly erase some of these freaking strokes here. So hot take, guys, I think DKC Free is better than DKC 1 in terms of the gameplay, at least. In terms of characters, I would most likely say DKC 1 has the better duo of main protagonists compared to DKC Free, and of course I know that DKC 1 is much more iconic in terms of how it revolutionized the way we think of platforming in the SNES. But freaking DKC Free, I think, just has more things to do compared to DKC 1. Like, DKC 1 just plays out like your regular ass 2D platformer, wherein you expect there to be a bunch of levels that you need to go through. You just need to go scroll from left to right, get to the cave at the very right, and that's pretty much all you have to do. And occasionally you'll find some bonus levels that only gives you more bananas and lives, which I think, yeah, I guess that's cool, but really is that really all the things you can get from these bonus levels? But after playing DKC Free, I started to realize that there's just like more things to do, I guess. Hey yo, what's up? I'm freaking drawing here. My sister just came into my room, guys. Anyway, I just realized that freaking I freaking like the DKC Free game loop compared to what yeah, I'm live streaming, right? Of course, if I'm talking to myself, I'm gonna be live streaming, you know. What do you think I'll be doing if I'm talking to myself? You would think I'm crazy? Anyway, yeah, DKC 3 just has the better game loop compared to DKC 1, because there's just so much things to do compared to DKC 1. Like, they brought back the whole collectathon aspect of DKC 2 back and made it much more appealing, I guess, because the way you get the hero coins in DKC 2 is just to find them around the level. But with DKC 3, they included this aspect in coin collecting, wherein you have to like destroy a Kremlin first, who is guarding this the hero coin before you can continue. And it's just a very slight change, but I really appreciate it in the end, because it added this little bit of a puzzle aspect to DKC 3 that isn't really present in DKC 2. And also, I guess if we're talking about the GBA version of Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong Country 3, might as well explain the mini games. The mini games this time around is also pretty fun, though granted, I think the Swanky Kong dash around the tube wasn't really that fun, because there's this Sonic ass looking mini game in DKC 3, wherein it is your objective as the Kongs to collect these stars. Because yeah, the way this mini game works is that you should like run around this this tube-like level while collecting stars, and there's like no way for you to stop running. So the only way for you to collect these stars is through this sort of temple run-ish type of mini game where you can't stop, but the only way you can collect the stars is to rotate your character around as you run through this tube. And the tube was sort of set up in a way that it looks like you're running in a 3D environment, but since this is the GBA and freaking 3D environments are not really supported in the GBA version, it sort of has this sort of pseudo 3D look to it that I think is sort of hard to read sometimes. Because you sort of have this depth perception problem when you're running through this level. So I really hated that freaking mini game. And but other than that, the mini games in DKC 3 is pretty good. I like the Cranky Kong dojo levels where it's your job to sort of defend Cranky from these flying porcupines that's about to hit him by moving this sort of shield around his periphery. I thought that was a fun game. And I also like that it's not really incentive to you to complete this set of mini games. Like, all you need to do is like complete one mini game and you already have like a banana bird you need to 100% DKC free. And also there's the little mini game where it's Simon Says with these banana birds. I think those are a pretty good enough challenge for you to collect these banana birds. So yeah, I really like DKC free in the end. I also like the fact that it's sort of a little bit of an openish. It gives you like an openish world compared to DKC 2, wherein if you want to play through the different levels, you need to complete World 1 first before you can go complete World 2 and all that shit. But with DKC 3, you sort of have options to play around. Like once you want to complete like the first 2 worlds, like DKC just opens up in terms of what you can do along the northern hemisphere. I think that's the name of the setting, right? The northern hemisphere. Hold on, I think my computer is freaking screaming at me right now. But yeah, once you complete like the second world, you can now either move to this, I think this world called Chaos, or this other world called Pacifica, I think. It's the one with the birthday bear in it. But yeah, I think I appreciate the fact that it has this sort of non-linearity to it. Now granted, of course there's still some linearity to DKC 3, but there's like a little bit more exploration compared to DKC 2 that I love. but it doesn't go full-on Metroid-esque, wherein you sometimes don't know where to go. So yeah, I like that about DKC Free. And that's why you guys should probably play it. Not after you marathon the entire DKC trilogy, but maybe after you settle down in terms of playing all Donkey Kong Country games, and you want to get back into DKC as a franchise, because that's how I found my appreciation for DKC Free. It's by just letting myself rest for a bit. Letting myself just touch a bunch of grass. And once I see the forest for the trees, I realized that, hey, DKC Free is a pretty fun game. But anyway, that's what I've been playing recently. What's some other GBA games I've been playing? I've also played a bunch of this. I guess right now I'm playing a cozy game for the GBA, and I guess the only cozy game that I can find for the GBA, because I freaking miss playing Stardew Valley. I mean, I guess I technically played Stardew Valley for the Switch, but I was so busy back then I didn't really get the time to play it on my Switch, and by the time I was like, yo, I should get back in Stardew Valley, my freaking brothers and sisters broke both Joy-Cons for the Switch, and I was like, fuck it, I can't play this freaking game anymore. So I looked for the next best thing, and I found the inspiration behind Stardew Valley. And it's freaking Harvest Moon, Friends of Mineral Town. I heard of this game when I was watching this guy named Moon Channel on YouTube that does a little bit of these wacky videos about Neo-Confucianism. But I found this guy's recommendation for a tier list he did. And he talked about how Friends of Mineral Town was the inspiration behind Stardew Valley. And he also said that while it's not as good as Stardew Valley, it is still a pretty decent, cozy game to play. So I tried to look it up around the internet, and I found a zip file for it, and I decided to play it just recently. And now, just to give you guys some context, I think this is gonna be like my first ever cozy game, or at least a farming simulator game that I'll be playing right now. Even though I did say I did play Stardew Valley back then, I didn't really fully engross myself in the game because of how busy I was back then. So technically, Friends of Mineral Town from the Harvest Moon franchise is technically my first ever cozy game now. And I gotta say though, it really took me a bit to get used to the whole gameplay aspect of Harvest Moon, because for the first few days I was sort of complaining about how the freaking inventory slots are so minimal. Compared to Stardew Valley, you get like a whole ass inventory that you can use to carry a bunch of these crops and forages that you can find around the forest nearby. But and I was like so close to quitting because of how like inefficient everything was. But after I got used to it, I started to realize, oh wait, you can actually earn more money if you just like forage around or mine around the nearby mine. Because for the longest time I didn't know that you can earn money from just mining and foraging. Because I was so reliant on waiting for my crops to grow instead of, you know, looking around and finding some bluegrass or some copper around the area that I didn't really, you know, I just focused on farming because, hey, it's called Harvest Moon. Harvest is in the title. So you'd expect like farming to be like the main aspect of this game, but no, it's freaking the true money makers of this freaking game is actually you going to the mines and finding finding the rare ores that you can find in that said mine. And I also just learned recently that if I were to use the hoe on the mine on the mine that I recently discovered, I would basically find a bunch of more levels underneath the level that I'm usually mining at, and I would find more ores in said level compared to if I were just to mine a bunch of stuff in the first level. Which I find very interesting. The game never really told me this, and it's only through me looking at a review of Harvest Moon Friends of Mineral Town that I discovered this aspect of the game. As for relationships, in the game, I was sort of debating to myself whether I should date this bar girl or Maria the librarian. And I thought about it for a little bit, and I thought, okay, I'm going for the librarian girl because I'm playing this game called freaking not Stardew Valley. Is this sort of old game that's kind of like Stardew Valley called Harvest Moon. And you know, like in Stardew Valley, there's this sort of dating aspect to it, right? When you can like give the villagers a bunch of presents, and in exchange they'll love you for it. There's the same sort of mechanic in Harvest Moon, where if you give these villagers a bunch of things they like, they'll like you back. And for this specific gameplay session of Harvest Moon, I wanted to go for Maria, the librarian. But as soon as I targeted her as my main interest, this other guy started going after her as well. Is this guy with a UMC hat on his head, and I don't know why he has a UMC hat, but it's there, I guess.
Is it just a character?
Huh?
Is it just a character?
Yeah, it's just a character. What are you talking about? You think she's real? No, she's a gameplay. It's just a game character. But anyway, once I targeted this one girl, this other guy started going after him as well. And I thought to myself, oh wait, is this girl not dateable in this game? And I looked around, and it turns out Harvest Moon has this very unique aspect to it, wherein you have romantic rivals to freaking play around as you manage your farm and date these other people around the village. I find very interesting because I don't think Stardew Valley had that aspect to its gameplay. And I heard it was very controversial back in Japan because of how it adds more challenge to an already challenging game. And also, people are simps, and people don't like it when there's a romantic rival that you need to defeat. But I think to his defense, it does feel like a very challenging aspect to the game. And now I'm now doubling down on the amount of things I'm sending to Maria. I'm sending him twice the amount of moon grasses that I can find in the forest. So anyway, it's basically, this game is basically just optimization. The game. Once I realized that you can earn money through foraging, realize how great it is to how challenging this whole romantic aspect of the game is. And once I finally got my freaking farm running, because I accidentally blew all my money over this guy named I forgot his name, but he was like selling a bunch of apples to me during one day, and it basically got me bankrupt for the majority of the day. But once I got myself out of bankruptcy, got my farm running, and set my sights on what my romantic interest would be, I finally found out why Harvest Moon is a pretty good good experience for me. Hold on, let me just add another frame for this project. Now I can't wait for I can't wait to get back into it. Now the only thing I haven't discovered about Harvest Moon is its whole fishing aspect to it, because I still haven't found a way for me to obtain a fishing rod. But I think once summer hits, I might be able to buy a fishing rod from that beach hut nearby in the beach. Because right now it's only like spring. It's just the spring season right now in Harvest, in my Harvest Moon gameplay. So I guess once summer hits, I might be able to obtain a fishing rod. What else have I been doing in Harvest Moon? I guess the only one thing I worry about Friends of Mineral Town is how it would keep things interesting from here on, because what I like about my numerous watchings of my brothers and sisters watching Stardew Valley, what I liked about Stardew Valley from my numerous watchings of it is that they keep the gameplay interesting by having you work on this sort of city hall as you farm and stuff around Stardew Valley. But with Friends of Mineral Town, I still haven't found that sort of specific gameplay aspect to it, wherein it's your job to sort of collect all these different stuff in the town. And it sort of makes me worry that in the end I might just be farming for the sake of farming without any sort of objective to look forward to. Because that's what I liked about Stardew Valley, the fact that you're sort of working towards an end goal. But with Harvest Moon, I feel like the gameplay feels more open-ended, and you sort of now have to make up your own objectives along the way. At least in terms of the farming aspect of it. With the romantic aspect of it, there's definitely like an objective to it. But if it all comes down to me just grinding for the sake of earning more money, I might have to drop the game early if it comes down to that. But anyway, that is, I guess, Harvest Moon for me. What else have I been playing in the GBA emulator? I guess I've also been playing a bunch of Sonic games. I think I've already talked about this. I think Sonic Advance 2 is peak is the peak Sonic game for the GBA, and I might have to replay Sonic Advance Free. But my first impressions of Sonic Advance Free is just how boring it is and how frustrating it gets. Because I don't know what's with the Sonic Advance trilogy, but it felt much slower compared to what you'd expect from a Sonic game. Back then I used to play this whole old fan game called Sonic Flash, and I remembered how fast you can run around these sort of levels. But with Sonic Advance 2, it's the Sonic Advance trilogy, excluding Sonic Advance 2, wherein it's actually made by Sega, it felt really slow to me. Like navigating these levels is very slow, and not to mention getting these true endings for these games is really a chore, in my opinion. Like, it adds this whole Metroidvania exploration aspect to Sonic in a gameplay loop wherein it incentivizes speed and going through levels as fast as you can, you know? Like, I don't want to look for a bunch of rings just to get this true ending. I want to complete levels as fast as I can. Not to mention the freaking minigames, or I guess the bonus levels for the Sonic Advance trilogy was really hard to go through. Maybe it was only Sonic Advance 1 wherein I actually liked the whole completionist aspect of it, because it was much more manageable in my opinion. But with Sonic Advance 2, it was so frustrating because you had to find 5 rings in order to get to this bonus level in every level. And by the time you get to said bonus level, it's freaking hard to complete, I must say. Because it's another one of those 3D perception levels where it's your job to collect these rings while also figuring out which part of the 3D area you're in right now. It's so confusing for me to... It's so confusing, I must say. But yeah, let's go play Sonic Advance 2 if you guys really want to play a Sonic game in your Game Boy Advance, and just ignore the rest. Because Sonic peaked at its speed at the second game. Okay. Yeah, they comment. They sometimes comment. They usually comment about freaking Blender stuff to me. Most of the time they don't know what grease pencil is, which I find very surprising. And though I guess that makes sense, because when you think of Blender for when you first think about Blender, you don't really think about all of its 2D aspects to it. You usually think of things like 3D modeling or rigging or UV unwrapping, but you don't think of things like 2D animation or non-photorealistic rendering, stuff like that. Anyway, let's get back to talking about GBA games. What else is going to be talk about in terms of the console? There's some future games I want to play for the GBA. Like, I heard that Golden Sun was like a top tier contender when it comes to Japanese RPGs at that era. And I also want to play. I think Pico Pico was. Oh, no, Puyo Puyo. Puyo Puyo was also imported into the GBA, right? Because I'm looking for the next best thing in terms of something that would give me the same experience as playing Tetris for the first time. Because I played Tetris Worlds for the longest time whenever I don't know what else to play in my GBA emulator. And I wanna find a game that sort of has that sort of endless gameplay loop that Tetris had. And I think Puyo Puyo might be the game for me. I also want to get back into playing a bunch of the Super Mario Advance titles for the GBA. But right now I'm sort of stuck. Cause before I played Super Mario Advance 4, which is just a remake of the original Super Mario Bros. 3 for the NES. And I wanted to get back into it so badly, but the reason why I haven't gotten back into it is because the freaking last world in the game is so freaking hard, in my opinion. Like, I'm talking levels where you have to jump through these single block platforms as you're being attacked by this Koopaling that's tossing a bunch of cells at you from the sky. Like, it's so hard. It's such a hard game to complete, Super Mario Advance 4. And I want to complete the game first before I move on to any other game in the franchise. But it's just so hard getting through this one level in the game. I guess to me, I think for the longest times, Super Mario Advance 3 was what really soured my taste in terms of what I think the 2D platformer genre can be. I guess that's why I'm now more hesitant in getting into 2D platformers in general. It's because I know that these are mostly a test of skill. Which, you know, I find sometimes very... which is sometimes I find to be a very interesting challenge, but... but sometimes you just want a game that makes you cozy and shit. And I guess that's why I'm now playing Harvest Moon, because it feels like a game wherein it's less likely that it would make you rage quit and shit. But now that I'm playing a little bit more of it, I might start to realize that cozy games can also get boring as well. Like, if you guys just want a good 2D platformer, just play a little bit of Donkey Kong. I think Donkey Kong Country is just peak 2D platforming for me, because it really is. It's not only has levels that feels a little bit more forgiving compared to Super Mario Bros. Advance 4. It's also very. It has a very nice aesthetic to it. Like, I know this is like a very old thing to point out, but Donkey Kong has this sort of graphical quality to it that I don't really see that much in other SNES or GBA titles. As I'm not only talking about just the fact that it feels like it's 3D and shit, because that's what people lauded it for the longest time. But it sort of sets you in a world that that you really can really get you invested in it. Like the Crocodile Isle, the Northern Hemisphere, and DKC Island are all just like unique levels to me, unique settings to me in my opinion, compared to like Super Mario Brothers, wherein the levels feel very artificial and shit. Like with games like Super Mario, the levels feels so mechanically laid out that the environment sometimes doesn't feel real. Whereas with the DKC trilogy, it feels like a very lived-in world that you're exploring. I know that's like a very weird thing to point out in terms of 2D platformers, but these little things really matter to me when it comes to these types of games. And DKC just feels like a very lived-in world, in my opinion. Now moving away from 2D platformers, I wanna talk to you guys again about freaking Pokemon for the GBA. Because even though I played, I think like 3 generations worth of Pokemon games, like I played Diamond and Pearl for the DS, Black and White 2, and of course the 3rd generation of games. This includes Ruby, the Emerald, Fire Red. I've played a little bit of Heart Gold and Soul Silver. But if you were to ask me which of the games I've actually completed, I would say I've only completed Black and White. And by complete, I mean I defeated the 2 champions in the game and not really complete the Pokédex because, you know, I don't really have the means to complete the Pokédex because there's some Pokemon exclusives that are in these said versions that I don't want to get into collecting. But yeah, as for Pokemon games, the only one where I actually became a champion and fully, you know, fully became a champion was only through the first Black and White game. In the other games, I didn't really complete the whole ass game, and the reason why is because I was so tired of the fact that Pokemon as a game incentivizes you to just grind whenever you can. Like, say you want to level up, you just have to grind. You want to defeat this gym leader, but you're too weak to do so, you just grind. Go to the grass and grind. And it's so frustrating to get these Pokemon to level up. Especially when you realize that you don't have the right Pokemon to defeat this certain gym leader, and you wanna get new Pokemon from the grass, and you realize that the said Pokemon is so underleveled compared to the rest of your party, so you had to like freaking grind your way around tall grasses and trainers you haven't defeated yet. To the point that by the time you stop grinding, you just feel so exhausted. And that's why I haven't really completed the Pokemon game. It's not only is it, you know, a little bit of a challenging game when you're talking about the first few generations, it's also very boring once you realize what's the entire gameplay loop of Pokemon as a franchise. Alright, let me just see how this is working so far. we just do some of these dots around. Okay. Let's make one more duplicate here. Make a new keyframe here. Alright. So yeah, freaking Pokemon sucks, in my opinion. And I think the only reason why I completed Black and White as a game, the reason why I completed that game is because at least with that game, it offered me new options in terms of the Pokemon that I can use, because I don't know what's with Black and White, but for some reason the first when playing throughout the main part of the game and not the post game, you're only incentivized to only use the newest Pokemon introduced in that gen, and you're not allowed to use any Pokemon that isn't introduced in the earlier gens. Meaning that you sort of get this experience wherein you really don't know which Pokemon you're supposed to be using, and in a sense that's what really kept me going in Pokemon Black and White. Not to mention they introduced this whole mechanic wherein you can go into these tall grasses, and this said tall grasses you get like much more Pokemon that's of a higher level than you, and I think that's pretty great in my opinion, especially when you know come to realize that Pokemon's a very grindy game. Like once you defeat these higher level Pokemon, you get to level up faster, and it's much less of a exhausting experience compared to just going to your own regular grass and realizing that the Pokemon that you're battling with is just so underleveled compared to you. That's why I love Pokemon Black and White. It's such a refreshing experience in terms of what Pokemon as a game can be, and I don't think it's been replicated since. I hope in the next few generations they can sort of introduce that aspect of Pokemon back again, wherein you're only forced to use the new Pokemon instead of the old Pokemon, because once you are exposed to the old Pokemon, it doesn't feel like a surprise to you anymore. Although I think they're slowly doing it by just including these other forms of the Pokemon, but I don't think it's just as effective as, say, discovering an entirely brand new Pokemon for the first time. Like if you're going for an Alolan form, it feels like just another reskin, I guess, of the same Pokemon but with another type. But yeah, that's why I don't like Pokemon anymore as a franchise. That's why I moved to better RPGs like Fire Emblem, because with Fire Emblem it's more so like a linear type of RPG, meaning that you don't really have the incentive to level up. Aside from maybe a few games in the franchise like Fire Emblem and the Sacred Stones, the only way you can level up is through tactical planning as you go through these maps. And not to mention that Fire Emblem is just it's just a freaking nuzlocke from start to finish if you're talking about playing the classic Emblem games. So yeah, Fire Emblem is just much more of a challenge. It has a better story, I think, in my opinion. or at least I guess it based on my own demographic. Fire Emblem has a better story in their games compared to Pokemon. And it's just technically just a brand new experience compared to whatever Pokemon's offering to you. The only reason why I haven't gone back into Fire Emblem is because not only am I in the midst of completing Sacred Stones right now, which is the more grindier game in the franchise, I've also recently gotten into playing Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon for the DS, which I played using an emulator. Because aside from my own GBA emulator, I also have a Nintendo DS emulator lying around on my phone. And when I heard that, what's it called? When I heard that that Fire Emblem also had a bunch of games for the DS, I wasted no time in downloading a zip file for Shadow Dragon, because I know there's like another game for the DS that was not released in the US. There's like a sequel to Shadow Dragon, but I didn't get into that because of the fact that it's not a English. It's not really localized in English. But anyway, I played a little bit of Shadow Dragon, and oh my god, I was so bored with this game, with this said game. I think a rule that I'll have going forward when it comes to playing games is that I will not play any games that are basically just remakes of classic NES titles, because freaking Shadow Dragon is basically just a remake of the original Fire Emblem for the NES, which was only a thing in Japan for the longest time. But in terms of this remake, this was straight up just a graphical improvement, quote unquote, to the original game of Fire Emblem. And it really shows in its in the way that everything was sort of laid out. There isn't really that much of a partner system compared to other other Fire Emblem games. And there's oh my god, the freaking maps for this game really sucked, in my opinion. And also the freaking graphics to this game really didn't make me want to play this game to the very end. Now I like Marth design, not gonna lie. I sometimes play Marth when I have the chance to play him in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate for the Nintendo Switch. But Marth as a character in this game was just really boring, in my opinion. He's just your bog standard JRPG protagonist. That's this chosen one who's set out to reclaim back his kingdom that's so rightfully his. And other than that, Marth just doesn't feel like a compelling protagonist compared to someone like Chrom or Lucina or Lyn from the classic Fire Emblem GBA game. Was much more compelling of a protagonist compared to Marth. So I didn't really complete this game, and I don't expect myself to complete it anytime soon, because I really hate I really hate this game so much. But I will complete Sacred Stones at some point. It's just that I feel like I'm just so burnt out in the Fire Emblem gameplay loop at this point that I might as well just take a little bit of a rest before I complete Sacred Stones. But Sacred Stones, in my opinion, is just a better Fire Emblem game compared to Shadow Dragon. Alright, what else did I play for the GBA? I guess I also played a bunch of Castlevania games, but I think I've already talked about it before. I really love my Metroidvania Castlevania games, but I still haven't gotten into playing a little bit of the classic Vania games. If I were to get into classic Vania, I think I'll play Rondo of Blood if I had to. Because I heard that's like peak classic Vania style of games. What else have I been playing for the GBA? It's also Metroid. Metroid was there. I already talked about the freaking Metroidvanias. So I think Zero Mission is the best Metroid game I've played so far. I haven't played Dread yet, but if I ever play Dread, I'm expecting it to be one that would top Metroid Zero Mission for me. Yeah, I guess those are all the games I've been playing. Oh yeah, and I also played a little bit of Link to the Past for the GBA. But I don't think I'm a big fan. It's gonna be a hot take, guys, but I don't think I'm a big fan of the Zelda series. I mean, after playing A Link to the Past, I don't really like the puzzle aspect to the game. And the freaking combat system for that game felt very simple. A bit too simple for my taste, in my opinion. Like people sometimes say that freaking A Link to the Past is a cozy game, but I feel like this game is a bit too leaning on the cozy game aspects, because for most of the time when you're playing the game, you're just wandering around the world doing these basic ass sword swings to defeat these enemies, and it's really not that hard of a game, I guess. I may have to revisit Link to the Past at some point, but it feels like a very boring game in my opinion. Like compared to Stardew to Harvest Moon, I guess, it doesn't really feels like the most complex of games to get into. Like I might as well say it right now. It feels like a very game for babies, I guess. Really nothing to do in the Legend of Zelda, this Legend of Zelda game. And I guess that ends my rant now for what I think some of these GBA games are. Probably go through the internet to see what are some other good GBA games I can play for the system. But right now, my focus is Harvest Moon, Fire Emblem, and the Sacred Stones, and maybe even Tetris, I guess, if I'm really bored out of my mind. Maybe I'll also try to find a port of Mother Free, because I heard that's also a GBA title that everyone is lauding Nintendo to have it localized in the West. But I just need to like find maybe like a good localized fan localization of it, and maybe I'll play it a bit on my emulator. I did get into Earthbound for a bit using an SNES emulator that I downloaded, but I think it was during a time when I feel like I wasn't in the mood for playing any JRPGs, so I didn't really complete Earthbound as a game. And the more I watch reviews of Earthbound that spoils the story for me, the more I have less incentive to get into the game again. Maybe once I forget a little bit of Earthbound, maybe I'll get back into the game. I also played a little bit of Chrono Trigger. We're speaking about SNES ports that SNES games I've been playing for this random ass SNES emulator that I recently got. Although I like the game, the whole RPG elements of the game, I didn't really complete it yet, just because of the fact that I feel like because the way I play freaking Chrono Trigger is that I've been playing it every time I have, you know, free time in my hands, which isn't a lot. I gotta say, I don't really have the time in the world to really play these sorts of games. So when I finally, you know, got back into playing Chrono Trigger, I sort of forget a little bit of the game story, which is, I guess, essential when you're playing these types of games, because heck, you're here to be invested on these characters, and for some reason, on my part, I don't really remember most of what's happening in Chrono Trigger now. But I must admit that Chrono Trigger does have a much more engaging battling system compared to most RPG games I've been playing recently. Because this sort of real-time strategy to it, I don't really see in games like Pokemon or Earthbound or some other games I've been playing that's in the JRPG style. But yeah, it feels like the way you attack enemies in this game is through you know, the same old choices that you usually see in your JRPG games, but you have this sort of time element that you need to keep in mind, because if you wait around too long, you might your enemies might attack before you even have the chance. And not to mention that there's also this thing where you also have to consider the space between your enemies, because while you're battling these roaming enemies, you have how do I say this? Your character is automatically moving around the screen, And if you time it correctly and your character is standing near a horde of enemies, you may be able to like attack, have an AoE attack that can spread through multiple enemies at once if you're in the right location and you time it just right. And that's a really interesting aspect of Chrono Trigger that I haven't really seen in other GRPGs, or these classic JRPGs for the SNES and GBA. So yeah, Chrono Trigger is a pretty good game, just that I haven't been really that focused on the story all that much. Anyway, once I'm done with the stream, I might open up my Harvest Moon save file and play a little of that after the stream. Alright, I'm just gonna draw a little bit of the outline here. Alright, there we go. Alright, let's go to the next frame here. Insert blank keyframe. Alright. One thing in my mind right now is getting back into Harvest Moon after this stream. I'm thinking of also maybe doing a freaking Harvest Moon parody animation at some point. Because I find it funny that in the game, the only way, like one way for you to level up your affection for your animals is to, well, at least for your chickens and your dogs. Like the way for you to level up the affection of these animals, of these specific animals in the game, is to sort of lift them up in the air and put them back down again. I find that like it's a very charming and silly little aspect of the game that I really like. Like the fact that, you know, your dog may just hate you at one point, but if you just give him a little bit of a piggyback ride and drop him down for just a few seconds, he'll just love you once again. I freaking like Stardew Valley for that. But yeah, no, Stardew Valley, Harvest Moon for that, I mean. I think I'm mixing these two freaking games together. But yeah, we're gonna start freaking Harvest Moon. It's on my mind recently. I already have like a plan on what to do next on the stream on my farm. I'm planning on planting more potatoes, investing more in grass, because I know grass is something. It's a crop that can last for about 3 seasons until winter, which I think is a pretty good investment in my part. And it's also it's also a crop that can easily be that can be reused, because unlike with turnips and potatoes, these grass can still regrow if you wanted to. Also wanna give a gift to Maria at some point, because I think I have enough money for wrapping. All I need now is to find the right gift for her. I think I might go to the bar, because I once tried to purchase a salad, thinking that it might be used as a gift that I can give to Maria, but it turns out that the bar food that you get there can only be eaten and not given to people. Which sucked because I blew like 300 gold for that for that freaking salad. But yeah, at least I was able to replenish all my stamina, which isn't that big of a deal. Overall, my mind is on Harvest Moon. I heard that Harvest Moon is no longer called Harvest Moon anymore, or I guess the original creators don't call it Harvest Moon anymore. Like, they call it Story of Seasons, right? Harvest Moon technically still exists, but it exists among a company that isn't responsible for the classic Harvest Moon games. Which I find very upsetting. I don't like it when I usually don't like it when other people put their grubby hands around franchises that used to be very good, in my opinion. But hey, at least we have Stardew Valley right now. For those that really want the pure Harvest Moon vibes of the early 2000s and 90s. I'm playing all these games, and it really makes me think that I want to stream them at some point. Especially freaking Harvest Moon. Harvest Moon feels like the most optimum game to play if you want to have a chatting stream with your chat. It's a very less intensive game, and you can still do so much while focusing on talking to other people as you fish around, farm, mine, and shit. Okay, let me just adjust some of these. The only reason why I haven't really been getting into playing games, especially games that are released by Nintendo. Which I know Harvest Moon, I know it's technically not released by Nintendo, but you know, it is released for the GBA. But the reason why I haven't been playing these games on stream is because I know that they have some copyrighted music that might affect my stream in the long run. Okay, I once played Castlevania Symphony of the Night for the on Twitch, and that got taken down because it had or at least the VOD for it was taken down on YouTube because it contained some soundtracks from Konami that isn't supposed to be streamed for for everyone. But that's why I don't really play games here anymore. And when I do, I just when I do wanna stream games, I would usually stream stuff from Newgrounds, wherein the creators of the games don't really care whether you're using their whether you're playing their games or their music along your background. Like Newgrounds just feels, you know, has creators that knows that Let's Players exist, and therefore allow these said Let's Players to play the games because they know it's like free advertisement. Although I do know that there are some caveats to letting people play your games on stream. Like sometimes especially if your game is like story based, like heavily story based, it can really spoil the experience to some people who haven't really played the game yet. So I know for those types of games, I know that I understand why people would want to copyright strike you, because for these types of games, the gameplay isn't really what's selling people with this game. It's usually the story, and when it comes to story, it's something that you can only experience once and never again. So by streaming it on to a large platform like YouTube, you're basically just allocating your earnings towards this one YouTuber instead of the person who actually worked on the game. That's why I sometimes I know that freaking reaction streamers is a little bit of a gray area for most people, including me. Which is why I don't really do that much streams wherein I stream myself interacting with stuff that's not made by me. Like I once did like a Reddit stream with a Blender Reddit stream wherein I looked at some artworks made by other people on Reddit. And I first wanted it to be a monthly stream for me, but I came to realize that what I'm doing essentially was just using other people's content to to make my streams more entertaining, which I don't really find very, I guess, ethical in my own sense of the term, because I'm technically just like, I guess, stealing other people's work for my own, which I find very very bad in my point of view, especially when I'm basically just taking these other people's works and just doing a simple reaction to it instead of, you know, doing a full-scale review of it or something. So yeah, I don't like it. I don't really like it when I just steal other people's content. Which is why you get these streams where I just make my own shit, like these animation streams or those music streams I haven't been doing. And to make it entertaining, I just maybe chat to you guys about the things I've been doing recently, like, I don't know, like the GBA games I've been playing, or shit like that. That's not to say that all Let's Players are basically stealing other people's content. Like, especially if you're playing something like Stardew Valley. I feel like the what the game creator offers and what the Let's Player offers is two completely different things. Like with a game creator like Concerned Ape and their in the game Stardew Valley, they offer something like, I don't know, like a whole world for you to explore and shit, and like multiple possibilities, while a Let's Player playing Stardew Valley would offers more of their experience playing the game, while also like chatting with their viewers in regards to what the experience of Stardew Valley reminds them of. Like the relationship between game creators and Let's Players is special in a way that game creators gives you the environment for you to explore, while Let's Players gives you a sort of a way for non-Let's Players to enjoy a sort of the experience of going through this said world, while also teasing them about the multiple possibilities that you can have for playing this game if you were to play this game on your own. Because there's some. Sorry, my freaking door just creaked. But with with Let's Players, you get these moments wherein you see in the comments of people rage quitting because they saw what the Let's Player is doing, and they think, oh my god, you're not playing this game right, you should be doing it this way instead of this way. And to me, I think that's like the main point of Let's Plays. It's to give you guys a sort of a tease or an experience of what it's like to play the game in their own perspective, rather than what people think is the right way to do so. And if you want to really just play the game you want it to be played, why not you just play the game on your own, That's the point of Let's Plays, is not to give you it's not to give every viewer the freedom of choice that a actual player of the game would have. The point of a Let's Play is to give you guys an idea of what a person like a Let's Player would do in a certain situation, also making it entertaining and shit. That's why I think, like Minecrafters are basically doing original things, even though it's just them playing Minecraft all day. It's because they sort of add their own little twist to the game, like adding mods or doing some role-playing shit. If you're some person like Afmao, or even like maybe playing like an adventure map if you're like one of the classic Minecraft YouTubers like Captain Sparkles. Even though they're playing the same game, they offer you a different experience as to what you expect from a game like Minecraft that's open-ended and shit. And that's the value of Let's Players. They offer you experiences, while games and their creators offer you the chance to make experiences on your own. Can't say the same for people who react to videos though, or or people that react to, I guess, memes, I guess. But because the thing about reacting to memes is that memes really sort of develop this culture wherein it's okay to be stealing memes of other people because that's how they spread around like wildfire. But I guess if you're talking about just basic ass videos, I think I draw the line when it comes to people who react to videos because it's because with videos, the thing that you get when you watch a video is like, I don't know, a story or an experience that's only caught on camera. They're going to be caught on camera or with software like Blender or OpenTunes or Clip Studio Paint, if you're talking about animation. And with video streamers, all they do is just, I guess, video reaction streamers of videos. All they do is just do that same thing again and usually not add anything else to the stream, rather than saying, "Oh my god, that's so funny," or "Aha, oh my god, that's so cool." It's just a brain rot experience when watching these reaction streamers. I guess to an extent you can say that these reaction streamers offer you the experience of watching a cool video with a friend and shit, but I'm like, that seems too specific of a market to base your content on, and it's, you know, it doesn't hide the fact that you're still, you know, basically just streaming these videos again on another platform without their consent. Although I know there's some gray areas to these reaction streamers. I know Corridor Digital, I think, is a good example of what's a good way for people to react to videos like this, because they react to CGI scenes in movies, and the thing that they offer is completely different to what the movies that they react offer. Like, for example, they might be reacting to a scene from Avengers, the original Avengers movie, and from the get-go, when watching their videos, you can sort of see that the difference between what they want to talk about in their video versus what Avengers the movie is offering to their audience. Like, Avengers as a film offers you like a good story with all these characters and all these action scenes and sets and shit, while freaking the Quarter Crew reacting to Avengers is more so a video about them breaking down the CGI of the freaking movies that they watch. And in a way, both the movie that they react to and the video wherein they react to said movie are completely different experiences. And you can just like watch them in any order. What am I saying right now? I'm sort of autopiloting my words right now, but all I'm saying is that freaking Corridor Digital is a good example of what good reaction streaming is like. And I guess that's what I tried to aim for with my Reddit review live streams. But the only problem with that is that I don't think I really offered that much commentary in terms of the Blender renders that I've been reacting to during those streams. Hence why I don't really I don't really do those kinds of streams anymore. I also like it when maybe like when a streamer, or at least a video streamer, also like introduces me to a video that I would never really know all about until I watched the video streams. I guess that's another good thing about, I guess, reaction streamers, is that it introduces people to creators you would never really know about. Like, I think, for example, like how do I say this? I guess James Lee is a good example. I think I've found his channel through watching someone react to it at some point. I think it was during an old Draw with Jazza video. Yeah, but that's a good example of it, of a streamer of a way reaction streamers can ethically react to freaking videos. Other than that, it's really just not good, in my opinion. Why is he holding a chair?
Yeah.
Oh, he's holding a chair because he's about to smack someone in the face with it. It's a wrestling animation, you know? Alright. Was I talking about React streamers? Oh yeah, I was planning on doing gameplay videos, but...
Gameplay?
Yeah, you know, let's play videos. But I know that if I were to play a game on stream, it might... It's more likely that it might get a copyright strike from YouTube. if I'm just playing the wrong game at the wrong time. Alright, so how good is this freaking frame? My mind has been in autopilot for the longest time now, and I haven't really been analyzing the quality of my frames here right now. You bored? You bored? Oh, okay. Yeah, you can eat pasta if you want. There's still carbonara, right? You're not allowed to watch, right? Watch TV. You can't? Oh. Yeah, my sister is rolling around in my room right now because she's bored. She's bored because freaking my mom decided that she shouldn't be playing with the iPhone for during school days, so I guess she's now bored, I guess. Okay, I need to fix that line over there. So it reminds me of what I would do when I am not allowed to you know, look at my computer back in the day. Because back when I was a kid, I also was not allowed to use my home computer at the time to, you know, surf the internet, watch games, or watch videos and play games. So what I do instead is just, you know, read some books and write on my freaking diary. I've ever told you guys this before about how I used to write a journal back in the day. Because back in the day, I used to be a massive Diary of the Wimpy Kid fan. And through that series of books, I was sort of invested in sort of writing or journaling for the first time. Not for the sake of, just, keeping track of my mental health and keeping track of what I do during the day, but just for the idea of just writing all of these zany experiences of me throughout the day, while also drawing these cartoon characters after all of my journal entries. It's a very, I think it's a very fun project to me to do while I was not doing anything at school. I would just write down whatever's happening during the day. But it came to a point wherein I realized that shit, my life is boring when I'm writing some of these journal entries. So to make up for the fact that I didn't know what to write for these upcoming journal entries, I would just make shit up. Like the fact that, like, there was this one point wherein I would write about how I am a time traveler, going through these different eras of time. Because not only was I a big fan of Diary of the Wimpy Kid, I was also a big fan of the Magic Treehouse series, which was a popular series that was in my school library at the time. But I was a big fan of books like Night at the Titanic, Pirates at Noon, Mummies in the Morning, and Dinosaurs Before Dark. That I was so invested in the whole time traveling aspect of it, and I thought to myself, yo, I wanna include time traveling in my journals and shit. So basically I was just making like a little bit of I would say a self-insert story now, wherein I myself play as a time traveler going through time as I do some of the most mundane shit, like visiting my relatives and studying at my elementary school at the time. Because it was still a journal at the end of the day, so whenever something interesting pops up, I just write it down on my journal. But in between that, if I don't have anything interesting to write about, I would just write about time travel for some reason. I think I even included like this arch nemesis in my freaking journal. Who is this? I think this egghead looking type of guy. Because at this point in time I wasn't really that much of a drawer. But yeah, it was a pretty whack experience on my part. It felt like I was like exercising my imagination at that time. I guess that's the reason why I was into writing a bunch of stories back in the day, because I had all these free time and I was not allowed to look into internet. So what I would do instead is just write a bunch of journal entries, and in a way that evolved into me writing a bunch of stories for my novel writing club, and eventually it came to me submitting short stories to these online publications, and eventually I would write stuff for Wattpad. Which didn't really go that far into. I didn't really go far into writing stuff in Wattpad. I think I've only written like a few short stories for that platform, and an incomplete novel I haven't completed. But yeah, that's how I go through my day back then if I don't have a gadget with me. I think I've also once decided to make a board game. Back when I was a kid, I just recently discovered that Monopoly was a board game, and I was so invested in the game because for the longest time the only board games that I was playing was, I think, Snakes and Ladders, and I never knew how complex board games can get until I recently discovered the game Monopoly in 3rd grade. And I was so invested in the fact that, oh my god, you can collect money, you can bankrupt your opponents, you can buy property. It feels like a lived-in world from a child's point of view when looking at Monopoly for the first time. And I wanted to make like a similar board game that sort of replicates the experience I get when playing Monopoly. So instead of making a Monopoly clone, I wanted to make something that felt very original. So I was also playing Riddle School at the time, which is this old Flash game on Newgrounds. And I thought to sort of make a board game that's all about you trying to escape, I guess, a school. Because of course a child at that time would hate going to school. So the objective of this video game, of this board game that I was making, was to escape school. And the only way to do that is to sort of figure out a way for you to land in a specific space with a card, with a key card on its tile space. So basically it's just like it's basically just a more complicated Snakes and Ladders, except that it's your job to land in the specific space, and if you don't, you won't be able to actually finish the freaking game that I've created. I think I forced my freaking brother to play it, and I don't think she was really all that into playing this set game, because in said game, the way I made this board game was through pieces of paper I find throughout my house, and in a bunch of cardboard. It's like all your basic things you can find in your local school supply. So none of it really felt very interesting to me to play. And none of the materials that I used wasn't really that pleasing to the eye. And not to mention, I wasn't really that much an artist at that time. So by the time I completed making this game, it looked really freaking shitty to look at. I don't know why I freaking forced my brother to play this. Maybe because I didn't have that much people to play these games with. Yeah, I think back then I was so into becoming a board game creator that I didn't really realize how inexperienced I was in making said game on using these pieces of paper and cardboard I find throughout the house. Not to mention that I don't think I really understood the idea of game mechanics at that time, and making games more satisfying to play. that looking back at it, I don't really think the games I made for these board games weren't really that fun to begin with. I just really liked the idea of putting things into a board and just playing with them, I guess. By the time I look back at these, I think, wow, that's pretty dumb. It's a pretty dumb thing of me to make. But yeah, that's like one thing I do while I don't have anything. So that's what I do when I'm not allowed to play games on my computer. Back in 2008. So have I done when I don't have a freaking device with me. I guess I also read books. Books are also something that my parents allow me to do. I remember back then I used to be a big fan whenever Scholastic comes into our school, because when Scholastic comes to your school, that usually means one thing: they are making a book fair right at your school for you to go ahead and buy some books on. I think during that time people were really into buying stuff there that isn't books, like I don't know, like some wacky Rubik's Cube you can get there, or a freaking detective kit they can also get there as well, or a magic 8-ball, or a board game. But I was, I think, the only rare few that actually went to the book fair for the books. Because I'm not gonna lie, the freaking book covers for these books look really appealing to me. You have books like Geronimo Stilton, books like I Spy. I know that's not the real book, but it's, you know, it's a book in my heart. That's a Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Big Nate. Oh my god, so many good books. I sort of feel sad for people who never really grew up with these said book fairs, because they were very. These are the books that were in these book fairs really defined my childhood in a way. Like these are the reasons why I got into books like 39 Clues, Geronimo Stilton. I'm already forgetting a few more, but I think I've also gotten into what's it called? I remember this. There was this old series of books that you can find in this book fair. That's all about this. That's Scholastic book fair when I was a kid. Wherein huh? Oh yeah, I also brought Diary of a Wimpy Kid there. But remember, there was also this one book wherein it's all about this martial artist school. I think it's sort of like a pseudo manga, wherein there's sometimes comic strips on the pages, but there's also sometimes full-on paragraphs of words that you can read. Oh yeah, and I also got into Captain Underpants with this, with the book fairs there. But yeah, I feel sad for anyone who hasn't grew up with these book fairs, because they were always the highlight of every school day. Whenever they come to our school and they decide to set up a freaking book fair. Oh my god. Oh yeah, I've also freaking purchased a book in the book fair that's called Stinkopedia.
Stinkopedia.
Yeah, Stinkopedia, which is I think one of the more creative books I've ever gotten from a book fair, because it was just basically just technically an encyclopedia, except it's not. It's the way that this book is written is that it's made by this guy named Stinky. Or Stink, or someone, and the way this book works is that it gives you like some sort of fun trivia for you to for you to look at throughout his pages. And it's a pretty interesting concept because everything was set to A to Z, and in each section of the encyclopedia you get fun facts like I think it's like the first time I heard that idioms was a figure of speech, as well as there were some sections of the book that's all about what are like the stinkiest things in the earth. Spoiler alert: in the book, the stinkiest thing in the earth is the Duran? I'm forgetting. It's like a. I've recently eaten this fruit before. It's called the. It's called the durian. The durian, right? Yeah, durian. Which is this sticky fruit that my dad brought once from during his trip to Mindanao, which is this region in the Philippines, and he brought back this freaking stinky ass fruit called the durian, and it was a very common fruit, I guess, in said part of the country, because not only did he brought the original durian fruit, but he also brought durian chips, durian jelly, like a durian cookies, like anything that you think you wouldn't expect a durian to be in, it's there. he brought a bunch of durian merchandise, and I of course had to smell these the freaking fruit, and it does smell like vomit. But the ones where it's in biscuit form or cookie form didn't really smell that much. It's only, I guess, until you actually bit into the biscuit or the chip that you actually get that tinge of durian from the roof of your mouth. But yeah, I got this. That's one section of the Stinkopedia. It talks about the durian. There's also, I think, a section about time travel in this book. And in this one section of the book, it told me that, as a fun fact, that the author of the book, Norm Macdonald, I think was his name. According to this book, it is said that Norm Macdonald actually once invented a time machine for himself, but the time machine was so... Huh?
What is a time machine?
A time machine? A time machine is just a machine that gives you the ability to travel back in time. You know, it's a very fictional device. Nothing that doesn't exist in real life. But yeah, in this said book, it is said that the author of the book, Norm Macdonald, actually okay, wait, hold on. Is it Norm Macdonald or is it Norm Macdonald? No, it's not. No, let me just search up Stinkopedia. Oh, it's Megan Macdonald. Yeah, Megan Macdonald wrote in this book that she proclaimed that he technically created a time machine back when he was back when she was a kid, but the problem with this time machine was that it was so small that it could only fit the it can only fit the time machine was just so small that it could only fit her own pet gerbil into it. So a human cannot get into this time machine to use it, but her pet gerbil can. So she decided, yo, why don't I just send my pet gerbil into the future? So she did that, and I think he got her pet gerbil to disappear for like 1 hour before it eventually came back an hour later. And when she tried to get some comments on what's like to time travel, the gerbil didn't really speak because, of course, gerbils can't speak. So it's not a gerbil, it's a guinea pig, I think. So yeah, so technically, I don't know, like, I guess based on this author's account, he did technically invent time travel, but it's because this pet gerbil is but it can only fit the size of a pet gerbil, this time machine that she invented. Anyway, I think looking back at it, I don't really think I really believe her story now. Considering that, hey, it's already 2025 and it's not... time travel is not a thing yet. Unless Megan McDonald herself is working secretly in Area 51 or something, slowly giving guys an idea of what time travel would be like. But yeah, these so-called book fairs are awesome. I don't know. I just don't know if book fairs are still something that schools do nowadays. Especially like, I don't even know if public schools do it. Because I was in a special school back then. Wherein like it costed like students like a 6-digit number to attend this school. So it's it's a very expensive school to get into. So I had to wonder whether this is only a thing that's exclusive to these types of schools, or there are schools out there that also offer scholastic book fairs to kids. Because these said book fairs are really give you I guess a good way for people of the younger generation to get into books. I don't want to be that person that thinks that kids should read books, but with these sort of book fairs, it's sort of opens children to things they might not otherwise know about, like different countries, different cultures, different technologies. Like, it was only through Geronimo Stilton that I discovered that there's that I discovered things about America, like the Colorado Grand Canyon, or the St. Louis Arc, which I find very interesting to learn about America about. It's also through books I find at this scholastic book fair that I got interested in things like writing, of course, but also arts as well, and a little bit of the sciences. It is through through my numerous readings of Ripley's what's it called? Could You Not Believe It? I think what was the name of the series of books that I discovered some things about our world that I didn't really know about. And I think it's also through book fairs that I discovered things like almanacs. I don't really see people publishing almanacs nowadays, but my god, almanacs are like a good way for me to spend my time on in case I'm not allowed to use my computer. Because for almanacs, I found some very interesting things about other countries, the latest developments recently. I think it was through Almanac. I think it was through Times Almanac 2008 that I first discovered that iPhones were starting to exist. I remember there was this article in their technology section of their almanac that they talked about how there's this new thing that Apple's been working on, wherein they are working on this thing called touchscreens, where you can use your fingers right onto the touchscreen. You can use your fingers to right on the screen to just point and click on multiple programs that they're working on, and I was like so mind blown by it that it's oh my god, it's so interesting. I mean, it was also through said almanacs that I discovered things like anime. I think I've discovered. Oh no, I think that's K-Zone. This monthly kids magazine called K-Zone. I discovered anime. But going back to almanacs, I think I also discovered about robots there as well. Also a little bit about biology as well, touching grass. I think also through almanacs I discovered this thing called hydroponics. I think that's the name of the term, right? Like hydroponics, wherein you are able to make both like a farm and a hydroponics. Yeah, hydroponics. Yeah, it's like a hydroponics, wherein wherein through careful planning you can like make your own crops and fishes through this highly elaborated layered system wherein you grow plants on top of an aquarium. Yeah, I think I discovered that through almanacs in a way. But yeah, almanacs are pretty cool. If you ever stumble upon your nearest fully booked or national bookstore, go grab yourself an almanac, because almanacs are just dope ass reads, even if you're not into reading reading stuff. Right now I don't really read that much books anymore. Because recently my mom, at least my mom during New Year, decided that we would visit a bookstore near the hotel that we were staying at to, you know, just look at what's happening there. And I think the most interested I got in terms of the books that were being sold there was when I looked at the non-fiction section of the area. I was looking at a bunch of self-help books and business books talking about how you can maximize your business or you know, improve your mental health and shit. And that made me really reflect on the state of me of my interest in books right now, because I remember back then I used to be a big fan of fiction writing. But now as a grown adult I'm just so jaded by these fiction books that I might as well read something that's about about self-help rather than that. Okay, hold on. Is this frame complete already? I guess so. Let me just quickly make some adjustments here. Alright. I think we still have some time to do a little bit of coloring before we end the stream. Okay, I think that's good. Go here, and go here. Looking good, looking good. And now we just need to do one last frame, then we can proceed to coloring. Anyway, yeah, I feel very jaded now in terms of my love for fiction writing. I'm more so now a person that wants to get invested in a self-help book, but that might not really be effective in doing what it's supposed to be doing, which is self-help book, self-help. Yeah, I know that these self-help books don't really improve your mental health, but my god, are they just very interesting to read for the sake of knowing what this writer would say in terms of how you would improve mental health. Because I've recently been reading a bunch of Mark Manson books. I've read The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck and what's it? Everything is Fucked, the sequel to the frickin' original Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. I also read this book about discipline and shit, which I find very interesting. And what I notice about these books is that they never really cite or I guess in this case, they don't really cite like a reference in terms of the shit that they're saying. Like at most, they'll probably like give you an experience of a person from history doing the same exact thing that they would mention with something that you can also apply in your life. But in terms of scientific accuracy, these books don't really have that sort of aspect to them, which I find very interesting. Because if you're gonna be tackling things like mental health, you may want something that's rationally rational, I guess. Because I mean I do like books that try to be a bit more emotional, but in terms of self-help, you do need a little bit of that science to it to back up your claims. Like if you're gonna be proclaiming that you should be keeping up a schedule, you should at least have some scientific research to it to back up your claim. Which is why I think I appreciate Atomic Habits more as a self-help book, because they actually do include some references to back up their claims. But with things like with authors like Mark Manson and this discipline book that I couldn't remember the name of, hold on, let me just see if I can find the name of that book. It's like Discipline Self-Help Book. I'm forgetting what it is. It had a very fancy looking cover. That's why I think my dad brought it and introduced it to me. Oh yeah, Discipline is Destiny by Ryan Holiday. Yeah, that was I think Ryan Holiday's books is, I guess, a little bit more better than Mark Manson's, because at least with with Ryan Holiday, he gives you experiences based on what he find through historical textbooks. But then again, this is still like based on just people's own experiences rather than something that's more scientific. Which, you know, it's good to include people's own experiences, but you have to understand that people's experiences can differ from whatever the reader of the book might be experiencing. Like, who would really? I mean, like for example, like there's this whole bit about Marcus Aurelius being the best leader of the land when I was reading Discipline is Destiny by Ryan Holiday, and I was like reading this entire section, and I thought to myself, you know, I know much as I like this leader that you're talking about how he is very calm and very friendly compared to the other leaders of Rome at that time. As much as I like this leader, this said leader is, you know, this said leader's experiences doesn't really relate to me in a way. I mean, granted, you can be calm all you want, but there's like a caveat to being like a sort of this, for being calm of a leader as Marcus Aurelius, because you know, in real life, if you're gonna be a leader that's you know, very lax like Marcus, and very forgiving, like not gonna lie, if you're gonna be if you're gonna be that to your that kind of leader to your team or whatever in your business, you're gonna have employees that are gonna be just as lax as you and in a way will sort of make your business much less of a success than you would initially want it to be. Now, granted, you can be a friendly of a leader as Marcus, but you know, there's a little bit of a gray area to it that that the author doesn't really get into, and that's what I sometimes dislike about these books, is that sometimes they don't really apply that well in modern times or in real life, wherein things are much more complicated than what they are explaining in said book. Especially when self-help books try to say that you should probably keep a schedule. Like, no shit, I should probably keep a schedule, but the problem with with getting a schedule running is that you have to think about things like how much you actually have control over over the time that you have, because not all people have that same control of being able to make their own schedule, because some people are working a 9-to-5 job, and in said 9-to-5 time slot, they can only do so much that isn't just them working at a cubicle somewhere in the middle of an urban city, typing down numbers and attending business meetings that would drain their soul out and physically wear them out if they are that invested in their job. So yeah, these self-help books, they're not that good, but despite all that, I still have some enjoyment to it, because I don't know, I just like it when I get to see a different perspective from a different person that I might as well just not disagree with, because at worst I'm gonna find their stuff amusing, and at best I might find something that might actually interest me, you know. there was this one section of Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck wherein Mark Manson started talking about this story about this Japanese fighter who was once like part of the the Imperial Army in World War II. But as soon as the Japanese surrendered, he was still like stationed at around the Philippines, like defending his own camp. But he didn't get the news that the government actually how do I say this? Surrendered already to the U.S. Army. So by the time the said Japanese official, by the time the said war has already ended, the said Japanese official didn't really knew it ended. So for the longest time, he was just stationed at around this freaking spot in the jungles of the Philippines, just trying to defend himself, because he still believed that the Japanese army still existed. It's only after being called out by his former boss that he actually came back to Japan and returned home. Like those are the kind of stories that really got me into reading more self-help books. And I know there are probably better ways to see these stories, like just reading a goddamn historical textbook. But with the framing of it being a self-help book, I don't know. But for some reason, self-help books just has this way of narrating stuff that keeps readers interested from reading their books from start to finish. I don't really see in other mediums like textbooks and shit, where they just give you the information straight away without making it entertaining for the reader. Which is why I think, in a sense, I might wanna. Actually, no, I don't wanna. Because I know Jordan Peterson is a very controversial figure, but I am very tempted to see what his take is on the 12 principles of life that he just written out on a book. But I know that if I were to purchase that said book, I will be supporting a very controversial figure. Although I'm not sure what makes Jordan Peterson controversial, because I haven't really seen his stuff that much. I just heard that he is very well regarded in his field of psychology. But yeah, I don't know. I just like my hot takes in my books. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. If you guys can recommend me some self-help books that you might think are interesting, you can probably leave it down below in the comments. I'm not gonna be taking their advice, of course, but it's it's at least a good way for me to look at other people's perspectives on what they think self-help should be all about. Alright, we're almost done with this. Oh my god, I'm feeling a bit of the fatigue right now. Where is my bottle of water? Let me just drink some water here. Don't forget to hydrate, guys, because if you don't, you're gonna feel very very fatigued. I'm feeling a little bit of my arms giving out on me for some reason. That's not to say I haven't been working out. I recently did a biking and a running session both yesterday and this morning, back to back. And it's pretty fun, a pretty refreshing workout in my opinion. And recently I've also been trying to lessen the amount of food I eat, because I noticed that I've been eating too much food recently. I'm talking about like 3 platefuls of rice mixed with buffalo wings, hot dog, salted eggs, and shit like that. It's really affecting not only my waistline but also my overall health. So I decided to sort of just cut back with the amount of things I eat. I decided now to just eat 1 plateful of rice every meal, and just, you know, occasionally some snacks if I really feel like eating. But whenever I feel like really eating throughout the day, I would just drink some water, and that would usually calm down my stomach in a way. I heard from before that being hungry is just basically a feeling that would most likely fade away if you give it some time. So whenever you feel hungry, it doesn't always mean that you have to eat. especially when during those days wherein you just ate your breakfast, but then a few hours later you just feel hungry yet again. Usually you can just wait that out, and eventually your stomach would stop grumbling and shit. Yeah. All right. Let me just finish up this glove here. I'm now feeling more comfortable with using grease pencil as a main aspect that I focus on in Blender, because I remember back then I had a hard time remembering how to, you know, like place a grease pencil object into the scene and put some keyframes, and you know, I also had a hard time like drawing lines with grease pencil, but I'm starting to get the hang of it. In fact, I'm more at ease using grease pencil objects than handling how do I say this? 3D models. I noticed. Which is why I guess I'm not really doing a lot of 3D modeling streams lately. Aside from the fact that I'm, you know, focusing on these animation projects, the reason why I haven't been doing 3D modeling streams because I just find the grease pencil streams much more relaxing, in my opinion. This is the equivalent of playing a cozy game without ever playing a cozy game on my stream. 'Cause, you know, it's just like you're just tracing the outlines of your 3D model that they're already prefabricated on offline. So with this sort of actions I'm doing right now on screen, I can just focus on drawing lines while also talking to you guys. I'm so tempted to end stream right now and play Harvest Moon. By the way, guys, if you ever have any cozy games to recommend to me, can you please, like lay some out on the chat, because I'm now so invested in Harvest Moon that I know that that will eventually get tired of playing Harvest Moon at some point and move on to something else. It's just that I don't know what that something else would be. So if you guys have any suggestions for any cozy games I should play that isn't Stardew Valley or Animal Crossing, please lay them out on the chat box. Yeah. Now I'm wondering, why not Animal Crossing, Morgan? Why do you not want Animal Crossing? Well, because I recently looked at some of the gameplay footage of Animal Crossing, and to me it felt way too simple for a game for me. I know I watched something like New Horizons lately, and I don't like the fact that you're only plopped into an empty world without anything else to do other than to just add some stuff to it while collecting resources and shit. I like it better when there's like a pre-established world that you can explore, like in Harvest Moon or Stardew Valley, wherein there's like much more to do than just farming and decorating and shit. Oh, forgot to make the line over there. Okay, and also I think I need to add one more line. No, I think this is good already. Oh, forgot to add the hinge over here. Alright. And also the stroke over here. Now the reason why, because if you guys were to, if I'm gonna play this animation right now, we notice that I actually animated the 3D model here for myself, and you might be wondering, yo Morgan, why did you animate the 3D model? Why can't you just post the model one by one as you draw the frames? Well, the reason why I did the animation was because I know that I will forget to draw some strokes as I move along this said animation. Like for example, I realized from right after drawing all the strokes here that I forgot to draw the strokes for this one leg of the chair. And if I were to like move on from this, I would have already destroyed the pose for this said character on this frame, on a specific frame. And it would be frustrating for me to just work my way back into getting this 3D model to pose the same way. So to make up for it, I decided to actually, you know, rig this character. I mean, when I say rig, I mean like add inverse kinematics, and also add some keyframes to the bones to have him actually move around the screen. So that's why I have him moving around. But anyway, now that we got this guy's frames worked up, I think it's now time for me to color. Move this down. Cowboy color. Ooh, this is the very start. And I guess I'll color the skin first. And I'll include the fill. Alright, let's start animating. Oh, I should probably lock my layers first before I continue. Alright, so make this, do this, alright. Alright, so how's everyone's day's been doing? I have now ran out of topics to talk about on stream. So I pull out once again the random topic generator. Keep things interesting here. Maybe I should, or maybe I shouldn't. Now I'll put up the random topic generator. Random topic generator. I think I got into using this random topic generator a while back, before I even started streaming. It was back when I was doing a bunch of these storytime animations on my channel. These crude looking storytime animation channels and storytime animations on my channel. And I remember the first time I used the random topic generator, the first question that was brought up to me was what is your favorite condiment? And I basically made a whole ass animation explaining why I think soy sauce, I think, was my favorite condiment, or ketchup. I don't know. Was like it's a random ass video. I think it's a bit cringy now looking back at it. But anyway, what the frick is this random topic generator? So I pulled up the generator, and then the first question it brought to me is, what's your favorite number and why? It's a stupid ass question. Let me just generate another topic here. Which TV show do you want your life to be like? Oh wow. TV show that I want my life to be like. Why is like the first thing that comes to mind is Breaking Bad. But no, I don't want Breaking Bad to be what my life would be like, because it's a freaking drug cartel show. I think if I were to pick a show, I would maybe pick Mob Psycho 100. Well, at least the slice of life aspect of Mob Psycho 100. Because looking back at the show, it just feels like a very heartwarming show to watch. Like, even though like all these things are happening on screen, because it's a freaking action anime technically. There are like some moments where you sort of feel for the characters, and I feel, dang, I wish I have these kinds of people in my life. You know, people like Reagan, who, even though he's a scam artist, you know, he's still a person that's ambitious about himself. Someone who doesn't really take mob who isn't really dependent on Mob too much, even though he technically is. And I guess there's also the freaking what's it called, the fitness club, like the gym bro club that Mob Psycho that Mob stumbles into. Those are pretty cool guys to hang out with if I were to meet them in real life. Are there any other shows that I want my life to be around? Not really, I guess. Because the thing with shows is that it's in its nature that it would introduce things like I'm looking at this and I think that's not supposed to happen. Hold on guys, I need to focus on this animation fit side of things here for a bit. Okay, there we go. Hold on, let me just hide this grease pencil object here for a second. Oh, that's the chair, not the hand. Never mind. All right, let me just quickly color out this side here. So yeah, the thing I hate when when I'm brought up this question of which show I would want to base my life out of is that with shows there's bound to be some conflict that's gonna happen, and if said conflict is gonna be applied to myself in real life, I would just not have it. I would say. But if the question were to be reframed as to what shows I want to be, if the question were to be reframed to be what TV shows would I want my life would be inspired on, I would say about probably Dr. Stone. Dr. Stone's a pretty good show because it's all about this student who was frozen for thousands of years, and by the time he woke up, he realized that the majority of humanity has been wiped out of the face of the planet, and it's up to him to rebuild it. And I think that was a pretty interesting show, and it really inspired me to actually continue dentistry in a way, because it really makes you interested in the sciences in a way that I don't think any other class in my college would ever have. So yeah, if you wanna get interested in some of the more obscure scientific courses out there in your college, you should just go watch Dr. Stone. It sort of just inspires you to be more innovative, more questionable of what your surroundings can do to you, and the potential that some of these, obscure things like the rocks that you see or the minerals that you study could do to human civilization in general. Anyway, I guess it's enough about the random topic generator. The thing about this set random topic generator is that it doesn't really... Sometimes it doesn't really give me topics that I really want to talk about. Like for example, the whole question of what is your favorite number? Like what the fuck is... Who would talk about their favorite number for... As a conversation starter. Okay, but anyways, getting that out of the side. I remember there used to be like another set of GBA games I used to play back when I first discovered that Pokemon GBA, that GBA emulator exists, and it's all these fan Pokemon games that I haven't heard of in a while. One game I used to play was this Pokemon fan game called Pokemon Ash Gray, which I think is like a remake of Pokemon Yellow in a way, but it's like updated for, you know, for the graphics of the GBA, and there's also, I think, more stuff happening, considering that, you know, the anime continued well after the first few seasons, or the seasons that were presented when Pokemon Yellow came out. And yeah, that's one of the games I used to play. Though I remember it was so jank because I remember these Pokemon fan games were so jank because some of them would sometimes introduce new original Pokemon games, Pokemon to the scene. Like there was this one game where you start off in a college, and as your starter, you're given these freaking bootleg looking monsters as your starter, and I'm like, what the heck is this? I don't want this. I want my Trico. I want my Bulbasaur. Where's my Bulbasaur? Why am I getting Tree Guy as my starter? You know, it really, I didn't really like these Pokemon games because they really do feel like bootlegs, even though they really are. But you know, the quality of these fan games really differ depending on what version you play. Wait, hold on. Let me just make all of the. Okay. So I never really got into these Pokemon games, these Pokemon fan games. I also played a Mystery Dungeon for the GBA. It was called Red, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red or something, and I wasn't having it. I wasn't a big fan of this spin-off title to the original Pokemon series. It's basically just like an RPG sort of series wherein you play as a Pokemon starter. What I got was I got to play as a Charmander for this game. You know, at first I was intrigued by the idea that you get to play as your own favorite Pokemon instead of a Pokemon trainer. But then I played throughout the game and I thought that it was very boring. It lacked some sort of challenge to it. And it's also, I guess, a little bit grindy, I guess. And the story wasn't really that compelling to me, considering that this is a game that's made for children. So I wasn't really a big fan of the Pokemon freaking the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon series. And I guess it's a good game if you want to give it as a gift to your little cousin or something. But it's at the end, it's like I just have to admit that freaking Pokemon is no longer a part of my demographic anymore. And people should probably just move on to Fire Emblem if they want something or anything really that's more mature than Pokemon. Heck, even just just play any other JRPG game. That probably satisfy your craving for having a better, more mature Pokemon game. Alright, let me just draw more of these stuff. Alright, so we've been 3 hours, so I think I'll complete this one frame for now, then I will call it a day. I don't know if anyone who watches my stream from, especially my 3-hour streams from start to finish, but yeah, I'll try to end this stream as soon as possible. I'll hop back into my game of Harvest Moon for the GBA after this. And yeah, go play Stardew Harvest Moon or Stardew Valley if you guys have the time. If you want something to spend your time over. Okay, let's I've been talking a lot about these friggin' things I've been watching that that sort of remind me that I have a freaking media review webpage in my website that I can use to blurt out all these ideas for you guys. I'll probably do another VSC stream at some point, and maybe change the thumbnail to it. Have it look like a just chatting stream, because essentially those Visual Studio Code streams are basically just chatting streams for me from here on. Alright, we got this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Okay. Let's use my freaking sculpt. Oh my god. Okay. Alright, we're almost done here. Oh. So you must use the wrong color there. Alright. Okay. I guess the one lesson I can probably give you guys for this one stream, since we're talking about a lot of GBA games, is that, you know, since there's all this commentary about how people don't like modern games right now, and how they're sort of ruining the landscape of video games. And that made me think to myself, you know, if you guys don't like these new games, why not just play some old games, you know? Like old games you haven't tried before, like Harvest Moon, Fire Emblem, Stardew Valley, all these other games that you guys haven't played yet. Because you guys don't know what sort of games you can just find by just you know, like opening up a internet forum and seeing what other people have been playing in the past. Because that's how I found games like the Castlevania DS trilogy, the Metroid series, the 2D Metroid series, Donkey Kong Country series, you know, all these other famous Nintendo properties that I wouldn't have heard of if I didn't go out and look for it. Same goes for, I guess, for movies as well. If you guys don't want to binge through another superhero movie, you could just watch, I don't know, Charlie Chaplin in City Lights, 12 Angry Men. Or you can just look at the IMDb top 250 and you might find some movies that you might want to enjoy. Like, for example, Seven. What else? The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. That freaking Western film. Kung Fu Hustle. Kung Fu Hustle is pretty good. What else? And then there's the more obscure stuff that I still haven't watched, like 100 Beavers. Because people say it's like the funniest film that people have watched in a very long time, and I wanna get into it, but it's locked into the Amazon Prime subscription. But yeah, I guess that's gonna be it for today, guys. So far we've made, what the crap? Wait, did I? Oh shoot! I didn't paint. I painted the wrong frame, but at least it works here, I guess, right? Yeah, I painted the wrong frame. God damn it! But yeah, so far this is what we made. A simple animation with this guy, and the last frame, for some reason, he just suddenly gets into color. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys like what you see, be sure to like and subscribe. I'm gonna go ahead and play Harvest Moon for the Game Boy Advance. That's a reference to old Reggie Fils-Aimé meme wherein he goes, he is like in front of his house and he's like, "Alright guys, I am now done for today. Now it's time for me to play Animal Crossing New Leaf for the Nintendo 3DS. See ya." This is how I remember the meme of Reggie Fils-Aimé. But hey, I gotta play Harvest Moon for the GBA. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys wanted to see, be sure to like and subscribe. Now, go read a book. Bye bye.